My name is Lena Carter. I'm 35 years old, and for most of my life, people believed one thing about me, that I was the quiet daughter. The one who didn't argue, the one who didn't compete, the one who never asked for more. For years, my sister and I were compared like two products on a shelf. She was the success story, the confident one, the one everyone said would build an empire. And me? Well, people said I was sweet, which in family language usually means not very impressive. 3 weeks after my father passed away, we gathered in a lawyer's office for the will reading. The room smelled like old leather and paper. Cold air from the vent hummed softly above us. My sister, Rachel, sat straight in her chair like she was already preparing to sign paperwork. Her husband leaned back comfortably, one arm over the chair like he owned the room. My husband, Mark, sat beside me. He didn't hold my hand. He didn't even look at me. The lawyer adjusted his glasses and opened the folder. This will outlines the distribution of Mr. Carter's real estate holdings. Everyone leaned forward slightly. My father had spent 30 years building properties around the city, apartments, retail units, warehouses. Rachel's smile appeared before the lawyer even finished the first sentence. The Riverside apartment complex and the Midtown rentals will go to Rachel Carter. She nodded like she expected it. Her husband squeezed her hand proudly. Then the lawyer turned a page. And the Lakeview Motor Lodge will go to Lena Carter. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then someone cleared their throat. The Lakeview Motor Lodge. Everyone in the family knew that place. It sat off a lonely highway exit 40 minutes outside the city. Half the rooms had broken lights. The sign buzzed at night. People joked about it for years. Rachel pressed her lips together, trying not to laugh. Mark didn't even try to hide it. On the drive home, the car stayed silent. Not one word. That night, Rachel and her husband came over for dinner. My aunt came too. It felt like a celebration, but not for me. Halfway through the meal, Mark lifted his glass. "Well," he said casually, glancing toward my sister, "at least one daughter inherited the real business." Rachel laughed quietly. Her husband chuckled. Even my aunt smiled awkwardly like she didn't know where to look. I forced a smile and kept eating, but inside, something cracked. Later that night, after everyone left, the kitchen felt empty. I was washing plates when Mark finally spoke. "A motel?" he said. I didn't answer. "A run-down highway motel," he repeated. "It's still property," I said softly. He turned toward me. "Rachel's building real wealth," he said, "and you inherit junk." The words landed harder than I expected. Then he said something that changed everything. "You've always been the weak one." Silence filled the room. Then he looked toward the stairs where our two boys were sleeping, and he said something I will never forget. "Take them and go live in that motel." I stared at him, waiting for the moment when anger fades and regret appears. It never did. "You heard me," he said. "If that's what your father left you, then go live there." My hands were shaking, but I didn't cry, not in front of him. I walked upstairs quietly, packed 2 small bags, woke my boys, and left. The drive to the motel took 45 minutes. The highway lights stretched into the dark like an endless tunnel. My youngest fell asleep in the back seat. My older son asked softly, "Mom, are we moving?" "Just for a little while," I said. When we arrived, the motel sign flickered. Half the letters were burnt out. The parking lot was empty. No cars, no guests, just wind brushing against the old building. Inside the office, the air smelled like dust and old wood. I found one room that looked cleaner than the others, wiped the beds with tissues, spread our jackets across the sheets. My kids were too tired to complain. They fell asleep in minutes. I stood there watching them for a long time. This wasn't the life I imagined, not after 10 years of marriage, not after helping Mark build his company from nothing. Around midnight, I walked back to the office. The desk lamp still worked. Stacks of old paperwork covered the counter. Guest books, receipts, maintenance notes. I started opening drawers without thinking. Maybe I was angry. Maybe I just wanted to understand why my father left me this place. That's when I noticed something strange. Behind the counter was a small wooden cabinet. It looked newer than everything else, cleaner, like someone had taken care of it recently. But the motel had been empty for months. I stepped closer. The cabinet was locked, but the key hung right beside it on a small nail. I froze. Why would he leave the key there? The motel was silent. The highway outside hummed softly in the distance. My fingers felt cold as I took the key. For a moment, I hesitated, not because I was afraid of what was inside, but because I was afraid there would be nothing. If it was empty, then Mark was right. Slowly, I turned the key. The lock opened easily. Inside were thick envelopes, documents, a rolled-up map, and a small metal box. No money, no gold, just papers. I opened the map first. It was a property survey. The motel land was outlined in red, but behind it, a blue line cut across the back of the property. I didn't understand it. Then I opened one of the envelopes. Letters from the city, planning department notices, corporate inquiries. One phrase appeared again and again: Highway Expansion Project. My heart started beating faster. Another envelope contained an offer letter. The number printed on it made me sit down immediately. It was more money than the motel could earn in 20 years. I kept reading. The motel wasn't valuable because of the rooms. It was valuable because of the land. The city planned to expand the highway. When it happened, this quiet, forgotten property would sit directly beside a new exit. Restaurants, hotels, gas stations, traffic, everything. Developers had already contacted my father. Every letter ended the same way: offer declined. He never sold. Why? At the bottom of the cabinet, I found the small metal box. Inside was a folded note, my father's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "Lena," it began, "if you're reading this, then I'm gone." I stopped breathing. "I know what everyone will think when they see the will. Let them think it." My eyes filled with tears. "I didn't give you the motel because it's small. I gave it to you because it's strong." The letter continued. "The highway project will be approved soon. When it is, this land will become the most valuable property I own." I covered my mouth. He knew. He planned it. "You have always been patient," he wrote. "You listen before you react. That's why this belongs to you." I sat there for a long time. Everything suddenly felt different. The motel wasn't abandoned, it was waiting. My sister didn't know. My husband didn't know. Nobody knew. The next morning, I called the city planning office. The woman on the phone checked the address. "Yes," she said, "the highway extension was approved last month." My heart started pounding. "Construction begins in 4 months." It was real. Later that day, I called the number from one of the developer letters. The man who answered sounded surprised. "We tried contacting the previous owner," he said. "He passed away," I replied. Silence. Then he said slowly, "Well, we're still very interested in that property." 3 days later, he arrived with 2 partners. They walked the entire land carefully, measured the back field, took photos, asked questions. When we sat down in the office, he slid a folder across the desk. "Once the highway exit is finished," he said, "this location becomes prime commercial land." I opened the folder. The number inside made my chest tighten. It was more money than Mark had earned in his entire career, and that was only the first offer. 2 days later, my phone buzzed. A family group message. Rachel had posted a photo celebrating a new investment deal. Mark was sitting beside her at the table. The caption read, "Celebrating real assets." I stared at the screen for a moment. Then I typed one message. "Let's have dinner Sunday. My treat." Sunday night, we sat at the same restaurant. Rachel looked confident. Mark barely glanced at me. "So," Rachel asked with a smile, "how's motel life?" "It's quiet," I said. Mark leaned back. "Ready to admit it was a mistake?" I placed a folder on the table. "Not really." Rachel frowned. "What's that?" "An offer," I said. "For what?" Mark asked. "For the motel." He laughed. "Who would pay serious money for that place?" I slid the papers toward them. Rachel's smile slowly faded. Mark read the number twice. Then his face went pale. "This can't be real," he whispered. "It is," I said calmly, "and that's just the first offer." The table fell silent. Rachel finally whispered, "That's more than my buildings are worth." "Yes," I said quietly. Mark looked at me differently then. Not with anger, not with pity, but with shock. "You knew?" he asked. "My father did, and he trusted me with it." 2 months later, the final deal was signed. I didn't sell everything. I kept a percentage of the development. The money secured my children's future. The same week, I filed for divorce. Mark didn't call me useless anymore. He just asked if we could talk. But some doors only close once, and when they do, they stay closed. Today, when I drive past that land, I see cranes and steel frames rising into the sky, traffic rushing through the new highway exit, restaurants being built, lights everywhere. The old motel sign is gone, but the land is still mine. My father didn't give me the smallest inheritance, he gave me the strongest one. And the night my husband told me to go live in that motel, he thought he was throwing me away. What he didn't realize was that he was sending me straight to my future. And sometimes the place people laugh at today becomes the place everyone wishes they owned tomorrow.